Today's guest is Phung Tran. She is a certified American College of Sports Medicine exercise physiologist who found Be Active is Easy, LLC. Phung has helped young women like you to implement science-based methods to improve your life with personalized exercise routines and the joy of eating. Her fitness strategy has prompted her clients to be more health conscious while continuing to enjoy life as it should be. Topics of discussion: body image, healthy eating habits, and women fitness routine. Give a warm welcome to ever blessed Phung Tran.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
Good. How are you today?
I'm very well.
I don't know much about what an exercise physiologist does. Can you tell me exactly what you do?
Exercise physiologists, basically, we're similar to personal trainers in a way, we do give people workouts to do, some small dietary advices, but the biggest difference is that we can also do exercise tests or read, doctor's notes on what you cannot do. And personal trainer is because if you go through, the official one, you only need like a high school degree and, some knowledge. But for exercise physiologist, it's actually a 4-year college degree that you have to go through like an accredited university and then sit for an exam. Mm-hmm. And so that means that I learned a little bit more, about the anatomy, physiology, psychology, but also like where to stop, because a lot of people, what I see online especially, is that, you just say whatever you want and not actually acknowledging that, well, I don't know. And that's where, all these knowledge and stuff come in. So I do have like, my own sphere of influence, but when it's, out of my control, I would tell my clients or members that, yes, this is a little bit that I don't know. And they understand that.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that's interesting. So 4-year accredited college. I've done college throughout pretty much like half of my life. I've been in and out of college, but it's because I just was indecisive. And then I wanted to do what I wanted to do to get to where I wanted to go. And boy, that was when I was 17, 18, and I'm 43. So it's never too late, right? So
never. No. Yeah.
So yes. So
a lot of people.
Yeah, a lot of people do it. I know, because I think I was just saw an article. This gentleman, he said he wanted to at least graduate before he turned
100
years old. Did you see that? And he was like, well,
he went to my school. Like he completed.
He did.
Yeah. So my school, I mean, a lot of schools today too, like if you're over 65, you can basically go to school for free.
That is awesome.
Yeah. So he graduated 2 years before I did, but we have my school I went to, it's probably Georgia State University. I should say it out loud here because we talk about that gentleman. We have like very big supportive, community for, veterans and then people who like returning to school from work. So they have like a lot of hybrid courses, a lot of night course, night class, and also online classes. And yeah, so it was very interesting because I used to be a TA in a lab. Okay. And then I'll be teaching people like 70, 80 years old. As an 18-year-old, it was a very weird experience.
Yeah, but you know what? The whole point is that he continues to learn. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, we stop learning once we're no longer on this earth. But it's just like, if you have the opportunity to do it. Just one little notch on the belt or something that you knock off on your bucket list before you're, you no longer here on earth. And it's amazing how no matter what point in life, it's never too late. So that's awesome. Awesome. That's so cool that he's from the same school as you. That was just like, it just popped out of my head like, who would have thunk, So
it's so interesting because we made a whole big deal because he graduated when he was 97. So it was like 3 years before his deadline.
Oh my gosh. That is amazing. That is so cool. Well, I wanted to jump into some other questions to let the listeners get a little bit more about you personally. Some other people would be interested in these same questions. So that's why I kind of like, let's see if this works out for us.
Okay.
So what is one thing you wish you knew at the onset of your career?
It is probably that people don't know as much as I do.
Yeah.
When it comes to fitness, I've been obviously through college like 4 years and then working. So I've been with people who's like know what they're doing and, going to the gym. Like I train people at the gym. That's my full-time job. This is just like my, side little things too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's with like when you're with those kind of people, we're talking like, improving ourselves, all these kind of techniques. But when, pandemic happened and then I went online, I realized, well, people don't actually know about this. Like I have to, break it down a little bit more and talk, like with like easier topics that people can understand. And that is probably my biggest like mind blowing facts when it comes to like social media, because like people have a lot of misunderstanding, I would say, about, what works for you, what doesn't work, body image issues, which is like, I'm not really into that. And I feel like, wow, I should have done this a little bit earlier
Right.
to reach out to more people.
Yeah, well, and like you said, it has a lot to do with the disconstrued information on the social media where we start believing that skinnier is better. And I mean, it's all based on your ethnicity, call it your physique. And I don't want to see, that's probably what I'm doing right now, giving misinformation. No, but like for me, I've always struggled because how they do those little quizzes, the different shapes, apple, pear, whatever. Well, I'm a pear shape and I've always had, bottom heavy kind of situation. And I had to find a way where I can keep my frame and my physique, keep it fit and keep it the proper exercises on what particular days and how long I should do it and what I should eat before.
Right.
And I was a vegan marathon runner, so I had to learn what type of protein intake that I had to do. Yeah, it was interesting how that all worked out. But then having to deal with that as well, which was 10 times more. And then being a woman of color, I'm Afro-Latina, so many things that I struggled with.
A lot
of that.
Especially because I mean, if you think 10 years ago, it was all about skinny girls. Now it's like curvy girls.
Curvy girls.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So it's that we always got to go in a cycle. And if you're keep comparing yourself to the trend, you're not going to be perfect and you're not going to feel as good. Because I mean, first of all these models, they don't look like that all days of the year. They look like that on their photo shoot days. They have, professional photo shoots. So like we're talking about different angles and things they can do. And then also now we have Photoshop, which is like all that stuff going to change you. Even now, you see my face. I would use myself as an example when it's come to body image, because that's one of your big questions. As I have a very round face, like if you're listening, you see the video, you can see that, right? And then literally, so I would, do this reel on Instagram where, this model, I'm just copying this model, like how to be sexy, and this model do this whole thing. And basically by the end, she looked gorgeous and I looked like a dum-dum. That blew up. That reel blew up. That was like my most viral reel, I would say. And then, you have a lot of people like recognizing like, yes, they look good. They're above average. So obviously they're going to be great. That's their job, like to look good. That's not our job to look good.
Yeah, it's a very, very small percentage.
Right.
Of above average.
Exactly. So it's like, and then obviously that, most people recognize that, but I also had some people like, oh, you might want to lose weight, maybe start hitting the gym. And I'm like, and all those commenters was like guys. So I'm like, boy, do you know who I am? Like, have you read my profile?
Yeah, like, do you know who you talking to?
Exactly.
First off, this is Phung Tran, okay?
Yeah. So that's where I'm like, see people compared, like you put your body image as like something people look at, but how about this? You're looking from inside, you're working out for yourself. Like sometimes I would ask straight up my clients, like, if you say you can run the marathon, but you look a little bigger, would you still want to do it?
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of people who I was like rooting them on because it's interesting because they have actual categories in the marathon based on weight.
Right.
And I was considered Athena, even though I was weighed at, I think my running weight was at 172. And that was considered Athena size. And I was the only Athena. I was the only one in my age bracket because there was nobody in their 30s running a marathon who was Athena. And that same year, I was actually getting ready to go into the army. So I was in the best shape of my life and vegan. So I was like, oh my gosh. So it was, it just amazed me.
Do you make that mean something to you, or it's just like you're the most active as your age group? Because not everybody your size wants to run or be fit. Like, do you make that mean something about you, like what that meant inside, or it's just like, I'm the minority again?
Well, in a way, I don't, it's come down to, well, a minority times a minority equals a majority in my mind, because I'm so many minorities,
right?
Minority African-American, minority Mexican, minority plus size, Athena, minority of the statistics that I was never going to graduate from college or high school because of where I lived. The minority, like all the things were on top of me as to you'll never complete, you'll never accomplish because you are this. And I said to myself, to the world, watch me do it. So in a way, I did look within, but I also looked at like how the social media and how the trends or how people looked upon minorities, saying that look their nose down on women who are single women, mothers who are minorities, who are in a low middle class income or raised in a single parenting home, all the odds against us. And I just said, you know what, if I can accomplish with all that I have as being a minority for all of this, then I'm going to prove a whole lot of people, even though I'm just a little me. I was so excited that I had a trophy and 2 medals, but it was like, I looked within, but I also looked at all that stuff that was going against me, all the odds. And I just said, screw it, kiss my dust pretty much. So,
yeah. So, yeah, I say, going forward, I'd say taking less of what people makes, like what people might mean to you, I would say, because they don't care, literally.
Yeah, they don't lose sleep over it at all.
No. So it's more like, because when we build over time, that's what, people are going to start noticing. And then we have to keep moving forward. A lot of my clients have actually struggled the same thing. They are plus size, but now I think one of them is doing kickboxing.
Cool.
And nobody can kick her because she has such her physique is stronger at the bottoms. And then she just keep kicking people like left and right. Like, she's hurting men too, like in the class. And they, she goes like twice a day for some reason, which I'm like, she would like kick. And then the men would hurt their knees from like sparring with her. And she didn't even go like to her, maximum capacity. And so that's something I tell people, like, yes, but who you surround yourself with as well. So at some point it's not worth, going against the flow, and it's fine to like have some 1 or 2 places where you can really be yourself, like express yourself. And so that's something that my client did, which is like kickboxing almost every day of the week, even though she's still going to school, trying to graduate out of nursing school. So I'm like, that's amazing that what you're doing. Yeah.
Props to her. I mean, back to your, because I think I ran off on the whole answering of your question, but I have seen heavier people. Like I would be driving in my car. I think I stopped running for a little bit, and I still had that urge to just jump out the car whenever time I see anybody running. I saw this one woman, and she was probably 200 some pounds. And I was rolled down my window. I said, keep going, girl. You got it. Because That's her goal. And I wish I had somebody there to kind of like root me on, but I had to be my own cheerleader for a lot of things in my life. So when I see somebody doing that same hard push to make something, to prove something, it's like I get so excited and root for them, even though I don't even know who they are. I just see them running down the street and I'm like, you go. And I'm honking my horn and waving. So
girl, that's why I feel like I'm a creep at the gym, because sometimes, because I work, I see people trying hard. And then I'm like, everybody.
Exactly. I love it. I love the energy. This is so cool. So can you tell me at least the 3 best things about you? You probably already mentioned it, but I like to hear it again.
So, I mean, one of my biggest things that I'm very proud of is actually my education, obviously, because, I actually completed school, sit for that exam. And then what I'm doing online is actually bringing the real information to people. And then when they ask me questions, I'll answer them if I know. But I will also say I don't know when that time comes, which I have done, by the way. Like I have people's like having very deep, mental issues. And I'm like, I deal with some of it, but this is a little bit out of my, scope. So I can't. So that's something that I'm very proud of. And the second thing that I like is actually me working on practicing my judo again. So have you heard about judo?
I used to play. I used to do jujitsu, but I know what judo is.
Yep. So I'm starting that again, which I'm like getting stronger, and then seeing like because it's fun when you get to throw people around. Because judo and jujitsu are similar, like very close, but we're more on the ground and throwing people off, which I'm like, I love that.
That is awesome.
So the best thing about me, probably the last thing is just my positivity going around, really. Like, I like to cheer people on, at the gym, being a creep. The eyes people looked at me, be like, I just started clapping, and they're like,
you're the crazy cool girl in the gym. So
and, cheering people on, especially older people too. Like they come, on their retirement, so they have more time. Like there are some people they probably stayed at the gym for like 3 hours, cheering them on, like just supporting them. They go through surgery, obviously, because of their old ages, and now they're coming back, all that stuff. That's and awesome. I just love cheering people on like that.
That is so awesome. That's so cool. I love it. So when did you first become passionate about your chosen field?
It's probably because of social media and what I experienced through high school. I was not fit or healthy or active. Like I was pretty much, I did participate in PE, even though it's only once a week for, freshman year. And then obviously, I didn't look the way that I wanted. I ballooned up. My BMI wasn't great. I went and get my scan. So like the DEXA scan, that's like the most modern thing we have now to see where our fat is throughout the body. And, my stat wasn't great. So I obviously tried to fix that problem by going online and Googling things. People my age do that all the time. So Googling things, going on Instagram, see what people say. And then I'm just mad at different stuff. Like you have to do this, you have to do that. And then the trigger point was actually one person just say, or a couple of people just say, you have to eat salads and then you cannot eat white rice. And you see me now, you see my name. That's not possible. I was in high school. You think my mom would let that happen? Like me not eating rice?
She would probably say, you are insulting us. To me, that as a Latina, that's a staple in our eating. So I know for sure she probably like, you are disowning us, or you are no longer my child. What's going on?
Right. Exactly. So I'm like, girl, but each Asian people can be fit too, right? You see like all these people, and I'm like, what the heck is this? So I'm very, very mad. And so that's triggered the whole thing. Like I literally went to college because I'm mad at people like this. I'm like, girl, that's not possible. Like there are gotta be be some other ways. I mean, I'm in America, so probably the diet has to be different, from what my other people from other countries eat. But still, there are ways that we can do it. So that's pretty much.
Yeah. I mean, that was probably your drive, that anger.
Yeah.
That's a very, even though it's a very destructive, depending on how you use it, but you use it in a very constructive way. And I've noticed a lot of women do that. When they are angry with something, they push harder by creating something positive out of that destruction or that turmoil or that disaster that has just happened in their life. And I just keep saying that women are more stronger than a lot of people think about, because
we don't get recognition enough. I would say.
No. But in due time, hopefully before I die, there's going to be a lot of things happening in this world that I'm going to be like, oh my God, yes. I'm so excited.
Yeah. I mean, we're just building up because I went to Georgia State University, like I said at the beginning. So I got involved with a lot of, community programs there. And it's just mind blowing that a lot of them, like the majority of us, were women helping out other communities. And we don't really ask anything in return. So yeah, that's a very unfortunate thing. So we help a lot in Atlanta. Like, we're like a lot of stuff happening now is because of the women's role in it, like preparing, taking time, prepping it for years. And then we're just not getting recognized enough. And that's something that I feel like social media is doing to kind of help it a bit, with technology. Like we have more people can speak up in a way that's not possible before.
Exactly.
So that's what I'm glad.
And that's probably one of the reasons why I started this podcast, because I noticed that there's a very minuscule amount of minorities that are doing podcasting. And I mean, this is amazing that I'm able to have the opportunity to speak with wonderful people across the world, across, oceans, people who have beautiful stories in their journey. So this is just like, this is my goal. And if I could spread that love through the mainstream this way, then so be it. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it is.
We've come a long way.
I know. Yes, exactly. And there's a little bit more to go, but we're getting there. We're at least one step closer to our goal and our achievements worldwide as women. We're not doing that 2-step back, 1-step forward scenario. There's no time in our lives to jeopardize other women who are struggling. We need to help each other out. And this is the way, find your niche, find your gift, or find what's within yourself and use it towards helping yourself and helping others if you can. That's the goal. That's the whole reason why we're here on this earth, is to help each other.
Right.
So, yes. So, one last question that I wanted to ask you before we jump into more about your career. So because I did look at some of your videos, and I read your bio, and I wanted to know more about your family. But the question I wanted to ask is, using one word, how would you describe your family?
I say my family, one word to describe them is we're very individualistic in a way, but we're still helping one another. And that's probably come from my grandmother, who passed away 3 years ago. But we're sort of like our family. We grew up being teachers. We've been teachers for I think all the way back to my great grandfather. So
wow.
Yeah, a long time. And what I'm doing now is actually breaking the norm, because I'm not a teacher. But I still, I still want to incorporate that sort of so that's why I started coaching. So I still teach people in a way, but it's not in a traditional sense. So, I grew up, literally, I've been graded on every single thing I do. I grew up in Vietnam, and then I went to the US, right? And then my first time on the car, my aunt literally like graded me on how I open the door, how I get on the seat, how I close the door, and then how I put on the seatbelt. And she'd be like, that's not how you do it. Like, you gotta do slowly. You got this thing going. You don't want to scratch people's car. Don't jump on the car. Like, walk on it. Something. I'm like, that's too much. But yeah. But from that, that's not a very good side, but then I can go from that and help people sort of like recognize the unconscious thought that they have and use that to like teach people, like, that's why I love working with people one-on-one, like even at the gym. Like, it's just this moments that we can share together, talking to one another, that we can talk about our problems, so that, I can give you like my point of view, and then you can give me your voice of view and that point of view, and then we can go forward from there. That's, what I take out of my family.
Yeah. Well, you are still a teacher, but I get it that you're saying in a sense as a teacher from the perspective of how your family perceives it as, but me, women are automatically teachers on facet levels, and you found your niche, you found your gift, your calling, and that does right by you and by other people that you've helped. So I think that's a A+ in my book.
Thank you, Bea.
If you haven't heard any of my other podcasts, I love learning about culture and music. It's so soothing to see there's so many connections with us, but we all have such beautiful intake on what life is through their fabrics and their culture and their singing. And it's just, it's so beautiful. It is. It's so beautiful. And people are like, yeah, whatever. But I really enjoy doing that. That's probably why when I get to have somebody who is a woman or a person of color, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Because I feel like I'm so connected on all in levels.
Yeah. So I say my family's more Westernized, so I don't really know too much about, the, traditional Vietnamese culture. Like, I know the modern version of it. I basically from like the biggest city in Vietnam, which is like Saigon or what, like however you want to call it. People call me comments if I say it otherwise. But yeah, my experience is more probably closer to what you have, to be honest. But obviously, it still have that, traditions of like respecting the elders, going through learning about the food, which I like. And so that's one of the things that I've been doing actually is eating more traditional food, like making them at home, like replicating things. I have like a garden, so I grow bananas. I never get none of the fruits because, Georgia gets pretty cold in the winter. So I get none of the fruits, but I got the leaves, and then, I use it to make like food, like packaging stuff that's more, both environmentally friendly, but also get the taste of the bananas in it.
Oh, yeah.
All that stuff. And yeah, so that's something I respect from people too. Like, that's why I'm just like you, like I would go out to my friends' house, see what they eat. And they was like, well, all of my friends was like, don't eat out, just go to my house and go to my party.
So much better. And believe me, you have more money in your pocket afterwards. Plus you will have less irritation of your stomach afterwards from having to deal with all that highly processed food from the fast food restaurants. And it's not, on top of that, a lot of the food restaurants, they don't make it with love. No. You can you know what I mean? You can taste love when someone's making something from their culture, from the traditional way of cooking their food. And I love what you said about, even though you're not able to have the fruit of the banana, but I know the banana leaves are very popular in the Hispanic culture.
Right.
They use banana leaves to wrap candy, and they make it with pasteles. I love food. Okay, let me stop. All right.
See, that's something that people don't mention a whole lot in fitness. It's all about salads or these quinoa thing, all that stuff. And I'm like, we don't typically eat those.
No, we don't.
And if you want to be healthy, you have to do it constantly. Like, that's something you do every day. That's your habits. And if you're if these people in the fitness industry just keep talking about, oh, you have to eat this berries, this or that, like, well, we're like, as women of color or people of color, we're not going to do that. And so it's like, it's an internal struggle. Like, oh, if I don't eat this berries, how am I going to be healthy again?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Exactly. Tell me about a time you failed and what you learned from it.
I'm not like my other peers that I'm not too active on social media before all of this. Like, I've learned it from a perspective of being like promoting and being like a business owner rather than, you know, like a personal profile where, you know, people just click likes for that. And so one of my biggest mistake or, you know, failure was actually not respecting people boundaries when it comes to being online. And so obviously it came from a good place, you know, like wanting to help, wanting to talk to people. But that person, like, we were commenting on my post, but then I jumped onto her DMs a little bit too quickly. And, you know, DMs are more private. And I felt that, you know, I feel like that was the wrong thing to do. Like, look, it's not a huge things, but it's still like, because that person is still, you know, going through, we're talking about health and stuff, but maybe she's not ready yet to talk to me about her, you know, more personal problem. And then I was like jumping the gun, you know, talk to her. And so that's and then we sort of like, I apologized after like realizing, I'm like, after a week, I'm like, oh crap, that's what I did, you know, and then I apologized and she's like, that was fine. But it's something that I want to do more consciously, is like when to, you know, how to respect people boundaries when it comes to being online, because obviously we all want to help. And we're trying to be respectful, but there's just some cases that we have to learn as well when it comes to like wanting to help people. Like, you know, like you don't want to be that creep person to be online and just DM everybody. That nobody's going to like it or, you know, respect you for that. And then that message going to be lost. And probably that's my biggest failure.
Yeah. The reason why it might have come on like you came on too strong is that I'm not, and I don't know the person and their background, but I feel like also, and I might be just talking personally, that if there's someone who is in culture or understanding our ethnicity, if it's someone who is Latina, we automatically be like, you know, we jump in like, are you okay? This and this and that. I just usually what I always do is if I don't know that person and I know my heart's breaking just reading their posts or seeing the types of replies from the persons of other people saying really, really rude, cruel things to them. And I'm like, that's just to me, there's some trolls on there. And it's just horrible how people can treat each other. If they ever come across a person on the street, it'll be completely different because they would have bit their lip and would not said nothing to them and kept walking and wouldn't even care. But because this is such a free space of people just doing whatever they want to do to hurt anyone they feel like and not care, they can get away with it. But then also what I do is if I see someone hurting or someone who just, you know, that their heart is breaking or they're going through something that if nobody reaches out to them within 5 minutes, they're going to do some type of harm or they're going to do something, you know, irrational. I just say through the post, you know, hey, I see that you are going through whatever this is, A, B, and C. Do you mind if I reach out to you through DM if you need a friend to contact or to, you know, and I'll tell you my story. You know, when you exchange personal things with other people, at least just a little bit about yourself, they open up more. It's a safe space for them. They feel secure. They can confide in someone who is kind of like, oh, wow, they've been through that too. Let me give a little bit of what my story and what's going on with me. Sometimes it doesn't work at all. Sometimes, but the majority of the time it does. Humans need humans. We need comfort. We need each other. And some people are not familiar or do not know how to reach out. There's silent cries when you see someone's picture, like in their comments or what they've said in their posts. You can feel that there's something not right. And if I'm able to do this, hey, hey girl, or whoever it is, you good? You okay? Just something simple. Yeah. There's just some nasty people on the social media. I didn't start doing social media until I started doing podcasting and voiceover. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people are mean. That's why I stay underneath my rock the majority of my life, because I just don't, there's some cruel people out there.
They're so cruel. Yeah. And then, see, that's why I love being on Instagram, because it's like, I'll bring just one less cruel person to be online. If they found me, they're like, oh yeah, you have this one little oasis of person like that. So, and it's very helpful, especially, for us, because not a whole lot of us wants to speak up about those kind of issues online. It just drains your energy.
So I wanted to know more, and I wanted the listeners to get to know more about you on your professional side. So you've already explained to us what an exercise physiologist entails. How did you come to discover that a person would need science for a healthy body? And what does that look like?
We all need science in our life, because one of the things about science is that it's not afraid to be wrong. Things get discovered, all that stuff. And even now, back then people were talking about things like, well, you shouldn't be eating, a couple of hours before you go to bed kind of things. But it's actually not true. It's actually, you just don't want to be eating so close to your bedtime. Otherwise, you got gastric reflux from because when you sleep, you're not really digesting, right? So, and then that would mean you're not getting as fat. People are like, don't eat before you go to bed, you get fat. And I'm like, now it's like, wow, you don't want to get gastric reflux up to your throat, and then you get throat infection. I can't say it.
Infection.
Yeah, so those kind of things, it affects you every day. And the point is so that you can, for me, obviously the mental, the mindset that you have to look within yourself. But once you're done looking, once you're like, okay, I'm feeling great, what my plans going forward, you still need to have science to guide you on the right way. And that's what I help with people is like, so that they can exercise that they don't hurt themselves, or if they feel sore, they know why is sore, and they're not being afraid of things. Or even, the food. Obviously, I'm not advising on people what to eat or whatever. I don't really do that because I'm not a dietitian. But it's well, how about you think about it's the smaller things? Maybe you've been drinking a whole lot, cutting that off would be great. And then how to do that gradually, all of that small little stuff that you need science, because psychology, something might work for you. Some people can go to from smoking to not smoking cold turkey, but the majority of people can't do that. And how do we get there? We know we have to get there, but how do we get there? And so with what I've learned is that you can use different strategies for people to overcome their problems. And, maybe some person is just about body image. Other people besides, maybe looking at people, they're afraid of other people looking at them. But for, people like me now, I'm exercising because of my family, diseases. I probably have a bunch of, I'm just a bunch with diseases, chronic diseases that I might inherit that I don't want to get or want less of that when I become, an old lady. So that's my point. You use science, but obviously you still have that mindset because you don't want to go toward one spectrum of anything, just focusing on mindset and you be successful and you don't really have any guidance to do that, or just focusing on science and make people be like robots. And, they have to follow this or that, all that stuff. We want to be sort of in the middle, depending on the person, how much, they should be getting and all that guidance. And that's why I love working with people, especially on a one-on-one basis, because each person needs different sort of guidance so that they can become the most successful version of themselves.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yes. So on your website, you have created a science-based fitness. So what information do you require from prospective clients? How are they able to reach out to you if they're wanting to know more? But you have like 3 sections where you can have them click in to chat with you, book a call. So you've created this science-based fitness. What information do you require from prospective clients to even get started?
So I have like 3 offers, but one of them is a free call. So because I understand that maybe the money would be, a problem and you want to know more before you invest in people. So you can either, visit my Instagram. That's where I'm the most active and then I'm the most craziest on there. Or we can chat like for 30 minutes. So it's a no pressure thing. So a lot of people, they would sell during this time. But for me, it's just you fill out like an application form and then we'll chat because I want to know what you're struggling with and, what to help you. And then with that 30-minute chat, just like talking to, do you like this? For 30 minutes, just having fun. And then maybe like 1 or 2 things that you can think about that you can fix in your life. And then I have my 2 hours chat. So that is more for people who's, know what they're doing, got what they're doing, but they want, they don't understand why it's not working. Like you have an exercise routine, but you're not getting to your goal. So like you're not be able to run the marathon. You don't feel like you'll be able to do it. And that's what the little cleanse is for. It's called conscientious cleanse. And it's just basically reflecting back on what you have. And then we'll come up with, exercise plan, what to do, all that stuff. But my most signature program is my one-on-one program is for 3 months. And basically you just apply to, it's an application. Every one of these is an application just because I'm really believe in, the connection with people. And I'm not here just to like take your money and make a quick buck out of it. Online is more like the connection that we have. Mm-hmm. And obviously with my one-on-one program, you apply and then we'll chat still. So like with that chat at the beginning, if you want to chat more, we have another chat. That's going to be like 45 minutes because you really want to commit with me, because we're building a bigger connection. So we need to talk a little bit longer. So 45, 60 minutes, we'll talk about things to see, well, if you're like, we're the right fit for one another. So, maybe you're looking for something and, I'm the right fit for you. So we'll go forward and work with each other for 3 months. But if we're not, then, I should say that, maybe your needs or what you're doing is not something that I can help with. That's something I'm very transparent with my prospective clients online. And so that's sort of things I go for. So it's more about the connection I have with people, rather than trying to make like money or selling people stuff.
Yeah. Well, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you so much for that. Now, can you tell the listeners exactly what's the name of the website and how they can contact you through the Instagram?
So yeah, my website and Instagram is Be Active is Easy. The website is beactiveiseasy.com and my Instagram is beactiveiseasy. And I know the grammar's wrong, but that's on purpose. Hey.
Yeah, I love it. Because you are that crazy cool girl.
Yeah, exactly. Because be active should be like in parentheses, be like be active. Like that's the mindset that I want. That's a promise I made to myself. Mm-hmm. So I want you to make that promise too. And you can find me on both, my website. You can see my blogs. Like it's go deeper into topics that I like to talk about things. Or on my Instagram, it's more, bite-sized informations or fun reels that you can watch, all that stuff.
I just love the little atmosphere you have in the background to make like, oh man, I should just go over there and sit next to her because it looks so cool. All those exercise balls all over the place. So,
okay, thank you, friend.
Thank you, friend. Hi, friend.
Thank you, Jasmine, for accommodating me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you. Well, you take care. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Noise Paloo Zion podcast. I'm Jasmine Castillo, also known as DJ Jim Jam. If you are wanting to be promoted on my podcast, please reach out to me if you are a small business, entrepreneur, musician, or artist. www.jasminecastillovoice.com. Stay tuned for the next upcoming episode.